way balanced. Obviously you have Damian Lillard, scoring 34 points. Ian McCollum, 21 points, where those are your two, obviously, top players that they need to at least average, 60 points to be able to have, Portland to be able to be in the fight and possibly, who knows, win the series if they opt to. But, you see the contribution for everybody else. You have Nurkic with 16 and 15. You have Carmelo Anthony, finally, some resemblance of Carmelo Anthony, scoring 11 and 10. But on the flip side, on that first game for the Lakers-wise, that's when you notice, like, the famous talk that people are saying, the help that LeBron needs to do. Obviously, LeBron, even though he had a triple-double on paper, you will say, wow, that's an awesome game. But most of the points, rebounds, and even assists, especially assists not wise, because let's be honest, he never had an opportunity, especially with Caldwell Pope, scoring 1 point, 1 rebound, 1 assist, in almost 30 minutes, and he's a starter for your team. That's unacceptable. I'm sorry,
that's where I'm going. I believe LeBron James could have 25 assists. On that game, the first game, the Lakers when they scored like 5 out of 32. So that was a bad shooting game for the Lakers.
Yes, it
was. And you're right, LeBron James had a triple-double. But again, that's my problem with LeBron James. Sometimes he's too passive. He should attack more and be more aggressive. I know he's going to get everybody involved, but again, that could turn on a downside just because, and then he feels out of rhythm. But as you seen on the second game, you've seen the other players got on a hot streak. Like I said, it goes either way on both sides of it. And
on both sides of the ball.
Cold.
Yes. And when you notice on the box score, and you notice it's a little bit more even. Now you have, especially on the Lakers side, they winning, and they won almost by 23. They won by 23 points. But when you look at 33 points. But when you look at the box score, it's more even. There's more participation. Now we saw J.R. Smith playing. We saw Dion Waiters playing.
That's correct.
And even though they didn't contribute that much on the offensive side, but the presence and the intensity of them defensively balanced out a little bit better on that side. But you notice that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in double figures compared to the last game. That they barely had 4 players in double figures itself. But you saw a little bit more movement in that regard. They were more assertive. On the first game, even though, LeBron and Anthony Davis, score over, 25 points, but, field goal-wise, percentage-wise, they had to shoot over 20 shots to be able to get those points, which is unacceptable. In this game, at least Anthony Davis, he was more assertive, 61% from the field. Yeah. So that's the kind of game that yes, you can stack up on your stat-wise, but in terms of scoring-wise, you got to be more assertive. And in this game, you saw a different animal. And it's funny, I don't know if you remember the clip, there's a video of when the camera pan out on LeBron James where LeBron, you can read his lips like, we are built differently. We're a different.
Yeah, it'll build different. Yeah, I saw that clip.
And that's what I want from LeBron James, to be able to tell the team, we're a different animal. We just need to focus. We just need to be in it, and we are going to be dominant. And it showed yesterday. At least on that game itself, it showed not yesterday, the day before.
Yeah.
How good and how synchronized they were in the regular season. Because you remember, even before the pandemic hit in the NBA and canceling.
Yeah, before this
exactly. The Lakers were on a good streak of playing good basketball, playing a great team basketball, and they were dominating. They were dominating, on all spectrum of the game. And at mid-season, I think most fans and most basketball analysts were picking the Lakers to possibly, being in the NBA Finals. And now they have backtracked because of the scenario of the 8 games in the bubble. But that's the type of team that can be dominant itself, and it's going to be really interesting to be able to see tonight, how that game is going to go, especially with, the injury that Lillard suffered in game
Yeah.
two, in terms of his hand, that could possibly determine in a way. Let's see,
Let's see
how
how he goes
effective
tonight.
he's going to be
Yeah.
tonight in terms of, his shooting capabilities and even defending capabilities, because he's a good defender, especially when it is a transition defense. You notice it at the Brooklyn game where they needed that win to be able to qualify to the play-ins when they defeated the Memphis Grizzlies and eventually, obviously, capturing that 8 seed. So it is a really interesting series. I'm going with the Lakers to win the series in Game 7, but it will
So
depend
you think
on
this is gonna go
how.
7?
I think it's gonna go 7. It could have been different, Ricky, to be honest with you, just because we're in a neutral site. So the
Yeah.
fan involvement, that's the
There's no
difference in
doubt.
all the series, not the Lakers one, but all the series. It's going to be, it is a neutral site. The atmosphere, even though obviously you have your screens and the fans can log in and be able to see the game, and at least the players can have that simulation, but it's not the same with actual fans on the basketball court being able to scream and give the players energy. And the traveling also is impactful. When you are traveling, let's say in this case from LA to Portland and back and forth, and that is impactful in any series. So it's going to be interesting. I think the Lakers, unless they play it all depends, to be honest, on which Lakers show up. If it is the
That's the
one on
problem
game
for me.
one, if it is on game one, I believe with the capabilities of Portland, Portland can win. But if it is game 2 Lakers, hey, they could win in game 6. But I'm picking the Lakers to win in game 7, and it is just basically because of LeBron James. When the mileage, especially in these years. And after the 2016 title and beyond to this point, LeBron has stepped up in that average of being able to dominate. So I think could possibly go to Game 7. I might be wrong in this case, but I see Lakers winning in Game 7, and LeBron obviously bringing a epic Game 7 to push to the second round.
So on my first episode, I got the series. I predicted that it will go in 6, Lakers and Blazers. But it's all about, like you said earlier, it's all about the mindset. The Lakers, when they have the mindset of you have to take care of this series as soon as possible, they can actually finish I believe that they can finish the series in 5 if they wanted to. That's my thing with the Lakers.
True.
They have the talent, even the coaching staff. They have a great coaching staff. You have even with Deion Waiters. Thank God the coaching staff noticed. Let's put Deion Waiters. Let's put J.R. Smith to at least score the basketballs. And sometimes Danny Green's he is in a cold streak, just like Caldwell Pope hitting 1 point on the first game. But again, when they put their mindset, I believe that, like I said, that's why they're their number 1 seed. That's how they got there, playing good defense, good offense. It's a well-balanced team when they have the right mindset. So again, I know you predicted on 7, so I'm gonna go. Still, I will predict on 6. Now, when we move forward with the Rockets and OKC, my thing with I thought OKC could win this series, even without, because Westbrook is not playing. So I thought, well, OKC is playing well in the bubble, and the Rockets, Westbrook's not playing for the Rockets, so I thought they could win this series in 6. And now it's like the Rockets, they're playing great right now. So what is your take on that series so far?
That was, I think, that a dream series that everybody especially when the bubble restarted and every seating was, even though the seating was almost set for the most part, but it wasn't
Hmm.
obviously for sure how it was going to end. But I agree with you. I thought that collectively, especially when Westbrook was out for the first few games of the series, I thought as well as you that OKC could win the series, but this is where big time star power also has a play as well. Even though yes, Chris Paul is a great point guard, a true superstar in our game, but let's be honest, he is not James Harden. That capability
Yeah.
of being able to score at any point at a given time, and let's face it, James Harden, it is lethal from everywhere. He has the capability to be able to attack the basket, get foul if he's not, shooting well from the perimeter and get, his points that way and get himself warmed up and being able to start, launching from threes. But it is really interesting how Mike D'Antoni was able to gamble, before the All-Star break and sending via trade, Clint Capella away and,
Yeah, it
getting
was
the low ball, so
yeah, like it's all about speed, 7 second offense. Like whoever has the ball, try to shoot as quick as possible. It's trying to
exactly.
have many possessions, but it's funny that they ended up playing each other, and that's the team that they traded Chris Paul. That was I was laughing so hard, like they ended up playing together anyways. But check this out. My take is they actually look better without Westbrook. Just because the spacing. I believe James Harden has more space without Westbrook. That's my take on that series so far. Even though I'm not saying that they don't need Westbrook, but so far, I believe that the floor is so much easier for James Harden to attack, to find people like Eric Gordon, Jeff
Oh yes,
Green.
definitely, yeah.
So it's a less ball hogger. Even though I like Westbrook, but it's easier to play offense when Westbrook doesn't have a ball all the time like James Harden has.
And that was something interesting in terms of how Mike D'Antoni was able to to try to figure out the best possible way to have them both being able to work together in that regard. Um, so it is really interesting. But I agree with you. They are able to work and play better without Westbrook just because of those senses. But you gotta be honest as well. Most of the team except with Clint Capella and Chris Paul, they've been together, so they know how to play together in that regard. But
Yeah.
the question with Houston moving forward will be, especially let's say if they win the series as it's going right now, that they're dominating the series right now. How are they going to be able to basically, you know, go with, in terms of the series wise? How are they going to move forward and how they're going to mesh together to be able to continue advancing in the playoffs? And that's one thing that worries me about the Rockets and the way that they're playing right now. How well they're doing is that once Westbrook is able to come back and play, how that dynamic will change.
Yeah, again with the
It's really
chemistry
interesting.
issues.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, if they advance, they'll playing against whoever wins the Lakers and Blazers. So again, it's gonna be my feeling is gonna be Lakers and Rockets. So how many games is it gonna take for the Rockets to beat OKC?
If they continue and they are actually playing right now.
Yeah, I know.
The score right now is, let me see real quick. It just started the game, so if they continue on this pace and OKC cannot make an adjustment on how to stop James Harden, because you know you're not going to stop the scoring because he's going to be able to continue contesting shots and everything like that, but you have to contain him a little bit in terms of being able to provide